I just come to anticipate that every single day, with the way this year has been, the way that my life has been, based on what the past few years have been for me, having to see my life on the major downfall, you know, it's just full of unfairness. Hell, every time I come home from my dump, I always end up doing more work. It's like I'm at work when I'm at home, and when I'm at my dump, I feel like I'm at home. You know what I'm saying? That's just not fair. This is what I've been saying when it comes to just dealing with everyday inconsistency when you're talking about just trying to stay busy, staying active, especially for the sake of, just maintaining my blood flow. It's one of the reasons why my energy is just down, you know? And it's why I always show these inconsistencies. Never mind the fact that, I'm doing my exercise during my lunch break or what have you, whether I'm taking long walks or I'm doing my shoot around games or what have you. My energy should never have been an issue, but it is, because most of the time, or as it has shown for the last few years, and especially as it has been yesterday, my dump has just been another drag fest. It's just a drag fest till the end of the day. And ironically enough, that I told Johnny that, you know, I asked him, are you guys like very slow today? And he said, yeah, it's crazy slow. Yet I told him that, school's already back in session, for at least for the LA counties. I don't know about around here. I can care less at this point, but since I'm no longer in school, but, he even said that it's because of this whole war that's going on. It's, even some customers are just, turning back, something like that, man. You see, this is another reason why this dump is a high turnover rate. And, without question, some of these customers are just, buying other products elsewhere. And what I mean elsewhere is other sites, other websites, not our company website. I even one time, I was just entertaining a customer, in the will call with, hey, just like what I used to do at Knott's with some guests whenever I'm sweeping out there, or if I'm, collecting the trash or what have you. But this customer just said, oh, it's cheaper online. I go, oh, cheaper on the other websites? He said, yeah, it's cheaper online. So with that being said, why is this dump even still up? And you got a company president, like, no matter what he tries to do, there's still not going to be enough revenue. I mean, the fact that, he had me just finish up a brand new version of the product catalog, and still it's so damn slow. And I told Johnny that, in 2023, before it reached a point of almost 20 people that left, I updated the product catalog. That was the last time I actually updated it on my own. And then it all led to just a big time recession in that dump, and then eventually led to the almost 20 people that left. That's a year where I just could never recover. But anyways, man, enough of this. My life is just full of just it's just a lot of unfair, uncertain matters. And I just don't know what direction I can take anymore, because I feel like I'm going to be stuck in my dump for as long as I'm still around there. And you already know what I talked about yesterday when I vented about how social media is now. But anyways, let me just get into this topic right here, dude. You see these three guys on the screen right here, my three ex-close friends, and Andrew, Julio, and Robbie. Two of them which are longtime nutballers, right? So this topic right here is just mainly for me to express, and I know I've touched on it many times in many of my older videos whenever I would talk about my friendships with these guys. So I'm gonna talk about it again. In that, guys like these guys, that they're married, right? So, because of what transpired in all the group text incidents, 2024, and even just last year, you know, Andrew was first to just be like, "I'm out. I'm done with Jay. I'm just letting him deal with himself, his own problems. I'm not here for that." So, after the first group text incident, that's when I saw that he blocked me. So, but I did send him something recently, but it said res. So apparently it wasn't. I was wrong for that. But at this point, he just completely just ignoring me, and without question, he has been done with me, and he's married to RB. Julio. Before I get to Julio, Robbie is another one where after the second group text incident, just last year, he even it got to a point where even after he told me that he wasn't going to attend, the big time family gathering, then I found out from Russ, as they were talking, that Russ told me that it was Robbie's choice, on whether or not he still wants to continue our friendship, me and Robbie's friendship, right? And I remember Russ, per that screenshot, just to summarize it, he said that when I get a new job, I'm trying to get those guys back because I know that my life will be better. I'll be a better person. And Robbie just simply said, quote unquote, doubtful. So it's getting to a point where he just no longer wants to deal with me either. So that's already done and over with, right? Now for Julio, I could have sworn, I already touched on a few videos about this. I don't need to elaborate, but I do know that, shockingly, he tried to reach out to me, which was just last month. He wanted to catch up, to see how I'm doing, all of that, which I just find it really astonishing, knowing that one, he's married too, and two, I don't know what his deal is as far as, trying to reconnect with me still. And I know he knows, just like these other two guys, that I just don't listen, or rather, I'm just being stubborn like that. So, right now I'm still in solitude mode. So Julio can try again, but for the most part, if I don't reach out to him, then, it may just get to that point. I mean, I don't want to, but at this point, I feel like he's just wasting his time. So here's my point. These guys, once again, they're married. So, they got their own, brand new chapter. Well, I won't say brand new chapter, since these guys have already been married for the last few years, right? But yeah, I mean, they got their own lives. They have a different life to deal with now. They got, when it comes to marriage, like they got their own set of tasks to deal with, their own set of problems to deal with within the marriage. You're just basically already in a different chapter of your life when you're married, right? So that being said, when it comes to friendship issues, these guys just don't, I've said this many times already. They don't got time to deal with any friendship issues whatsoever, even if it's mine. They've already seen my worst how many times. They've already had to advise me to do this and do that, don't do this, don't do that, and even when they're upset. So at some point, it's like I I get it that they don't got time to deal with my my beast mode moments, especially in those group chats. So to me, when guys like these guys are married, then they won't have any time to deal with me, like, as far as like, hey man, you okay, this and that. It's different if they're single. It's different if they're if there's some tension going on in our friendships, and something bad happens, and one of if those friends want to work things out, they'll be like, hey man, is everything good? We'll settle here and there. It's different if they're single, but it's not the case with these guys. So I take it as, you know, they got their wives now, they're happy, and for the most part, they don't need any more friendship drama, you know. So if Julio feels like I just I'm just ignoring him straight up at this point, not realizing I'm in solitude mode, then it is what it is with him. He might as well just leave me. I already said that before in one of my other videos from the past couple weeks, I think. So I'm it's these guys just have a they just have a whole different life to deal with. And especially with Robbie, if I'm not mistaken, I think he has a kid from what I heard. But yeah, you see, eventually these other two guys too, Julio and Andrew, they might also eventually become family men. So they're not gonna be sticking around just to wait to see if I'm gonna get better. And I get that. I've been close with these guys for a long time, especially Julio and Robbie. I've known these guys for 20 plus years, but in the end, they're not going to worry about me like that. I've said it time and time again. They're not going to worry about me like that, because I'm venting about something, and they get upset, and in the end, they're not going to be like, oh yeah, hey Jay, da, 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 da. Is everything all right? We work things out. No. It ain't like that anymore. So I don't expect these guys to even Robbie and Andrew have already been fed up with me. But for Julio, he may just be the next one. And if he, I'm going to say this, if he has trouble trying to reach out to me again, then I can see it as he's going to be fed up with me too. All right. That just shows me that he's just done wasting his time. And so, look, I think it's best that they're just gonna let me be, and they're not gonna wait for me to try to change for the better. So it's only up to me at this point to prove it to them that I'm gonna be better as a person. Obviously, I know what it takes for that to happen, but unfortunately, it hasn't happened. But yeah, I just thought I'd get this out there. I just wishing them nothing but the best, on their continuing marriage, right? So it is what it is, man. But you tell me what you guys think. Peace. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.